a challenge where it had never been done before, a device that had never been developed, and working with the supplier and working through all their problems and their challenges and trying to bring it to its first prototype, meeting the people and the suppliers and working with some of the engineers in software, learning things that I didn't know.
Welcome to People at Pyramid, a weekly podcast that introduces you to your fellow Pyramid Club members. My name is Vince Quinn, the Content Studio Director, and I'm here to showcase the stories of your fellow members, explore the ways that they can help you and your network, and make it easy for you to connect. With that, let's meet our next member.
Hi, my name is Frann Shore. I'm a new member of the Pyramid Club for the last 3 months. For 3 months, I am recently retired from the Boeing company where we manufacture helicopters.
Which, wow. What is it like working in a place where you're making helicopters?
We feel very powerful, I must say, when we see the helicopters lift off, fly, test around the plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, what kind of work were you doing specifically in that case with Boeing? What did you do there?
I was an avionics engineer, which means aircraft electronics. It's a combination of those two words. And my job was to work with the suppliers that were doing software, hardware integration, these complex boxes that we don't make there, we purchase. So I was a project engineer.
Wow. Okay, so you have to get the equipment then from all of these different sources and basically make sure that when it's put into the plant, like this all works as a cohesive system then. Is that
correct?
Wow.
Very
okay.
Clever.
So
Very good.
How complicated is that kind of system for an airplane?
It's pretty routine because we've been doing it for 50 plus years. Or more. But it's very complicated in that the software is developed by 30 to 40 different engineers and tested. Just the software itself takes enormous amounts of time. For the computer processing part, the boxes that we buy, imagine a mini Boeing doing the same thing at all these other small companies around the country. These small boxes, they have their own software and they have their own hardware and they do their own process. And we get it in and then we have to say, okay, yeah, this really works with our overall aircraft.
Yeah.
And we have to test it in the lab. We have a whole design software integration lab. People are specialized in using the lab and figuring out what are the test requirements. Are we going to meet the requirements? The customer has to weigh in on, yes, this is something I want. They often direct what they want. So yes, it's got a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty tremendous from like a project management standpoint. And when you're thinking about, regulation, like you said, you're thinking about all the different kinds of planes, right? Like, how much, because where is it going? Some of this, is it mail versus transportation, like your major airlines versus what? Like, where are all the places these things are going?
Oh, good question, Vince. This is not commercial. This is government only.
Okay.
Yes. So it is going to the Marines, the Navy, and the Air Force.
Yeah.
And Japan. So we have one international customer.
Wow. Okay. So that's interesting then, because like for me, obviously you see everybody's been on a plane for the most part, right? How dramatically different is it to have a plane that is commercial versus for the government for these kinds of places? How different are the specifications, the designs, the complexity? Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a good question. The Marines, the Army, the Air Force, it's ruggedized. The survivability specs are different because it has to survive all kinds of environments that the commercial plane doesn't have to survive. We're talking sand and dust and rain and environmental electronic mechanisms, nuclear in some cases. What else? Vibration. The vibration is a huge difference because you're talking aircraft rotors, you're talking helicopter rotors, dynamics, very different environments.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it very expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine. Whereas for a commercial airline, it's just like, oh no, the guy in the seat next to me took his shoes off And that's like, you know,
That's his,
like that's the trauma.
yeah, I mean, the trauma, people think the vibration of an aircraft when it's going up through turbulence is a big deal, but that's nothing compared to the vibration of the helicopter rotors.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, the
So
whole thing is shaking.
wow. Okay. So how do you get into doing work like that? Well, how did you get started working on planes and establishing all these systems and coordinating everything?
My background is in science, always been science and math. And I went to Cornell University, got a degree in physics and math, and then very much easily got a job in the late 70s working for the, oh, it was General Electric aircraft. GE had a space division in Valley Forge.
Okay.
So I started out with microwave design. So my physics background lended itself to these small circuits, microwave, microstrip design, when it was a first miniaturization of electronics on
Yeah.
aircrafts. And it's gone from there. So I got into it through GE Aerospace, which morphed into Martin Marietta, Lockheed Martin. We were going through Star Wars. We're going in the 2000s. And then ultimately went to Boeing after that. So I started in the space. Things were on satellites. I have one box on a satellite that's no longer in orbit. I think it's been deorbited.
Mm-hmm.
If you imagine GPS, when we first started GPS, people don't realize that GPS was not about how are they going to navigate from point A to point B. It's about how are the ICBMs going to get to their destination. Right. So there's a civil, and then there's a civil merit, a figure of merit for GPS, and then there's a governmental, commercial, government and military accuracy.
Yeah.
So that's what GPS was started for.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of things like that where it did start
Yes.
with like this very specific military purpose, and then you find this other application where things have evolved. But I mean, it's so interesting that way too, where you say, okay, it starts with microwaves. Like to go from a microwave to an
Yeah.
airplane seems like unexpected on the surface, but makes a lot of sense when you're just talking about the systems, the electrical systems to operate, right? Like I figure that can apply to
Yeah.
a lot of different things.
Right. I mean, this was designing small circuitry. And then from there, I got into the small supplier management when we were talking about the threats were laser threats in the sky, when everyone thought that was a real threat.
Yeah.
So all these things that are on satellites that are very fragile, expected to be hit with a laser, we had to harden them. We're talking the solar arrays, the antennas, the electronics, all of that. So all this work was done anticipating that threat, which I don't know if it ever really materialized, but it was anticipated to
Yeah.
materialize.
And what did you like doing the most with this kind of work, Fran? What was most enjoyable for you?
I think the most enjoyable thing was a challenge where it had never been done before, a device that had never been developed, and working with the supplier and working through all their problems and their challenges and trying to bring it to its first prototype. So mostly the technology development and working with meeting the people and the suppliers and working with some of the engineers in software, learning things that I didn't know. I learned an awful lot. I was constantly having to learn about new technology and new techniques.
Yeah. And I feel like I could talk to you about a lot of things like that all day because I don't know anything about your specific technical level. I was a terrible student in science. I
Oh.
knew my lane. I stay on the content side of electronics, if you will. I've got microphones. I can
Okay.
do some editing, and that's as far as it goes for me. But I want to get to know you a little bit just on the personal side of this, right? Because you mentioned you're retired. So
Yes.
so how long ago
Yes.
did you retire? First off.
Oh, and 2 months ago?
Wow. So you pretty
Yes.
much retired and joined the club at the same time.
Exactly. That was in
Wow.
anticipation. It was close in anticipation. A friend of mine, Terry Gelberg, who's a member of the club, encouraged me to join as a way to perhaps if I wanted to continue working, to get other jobs, to meet other people, to network, and to potentially meet other men to date. That was part of the incentive
Yeah.
to broaden my network.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like from the aspect of, depending on the things that you're looking for, of course, but when you think, hey, it's a big organization, and I think one of the things that's truly great about the club is it is a real cross section of people. And so it's
Yes.
all of these different industries. It's a wide net around the city. It's not just people that are necessarily in a specific neighborhood or things like that. Like the people that show up can be very wide ranging. And so it feels like you can meet anybody when you walk in here. And so from that standpoint, I think it's a really smart idea.
Thank you. Yes. And I've met people and people out of my age group, out of my ethnicity, very diverse group and very professional. Everyone I've met, I've really been impressed with them.
Yeah. Okay. And so
yeah.
so you've joined the club. You've just been retired. I mean, what are you doing now with this free time? What do you like to do?
Oh gosh, I'm exploring all kinds of ways to keep moving. And it's the winter time, so I'm talking this morning. What did I do? I went to a Pilates class, then I went to a Tai Chi class, and that was all in my building. So the building I live in is a huge community. There's 1,000 people living there.
Wow.
And these are people who are also professional, way more retired than I was. So I'm looking for movement, looking to keep my body working well. What else? Doing more spirituality. I'm on Zooms I'm a Jewish woman, and so I'm looking to build my depth of knowledge of a religion that I've been a part of for my whole life. But now I'm looking at other avenues of it, sort of spirituality, sort of what do I want to plug into? There's so many ways to plug into it in Philadelphia, believe it or not, all across the world. You know, and the Hanukkah just started. Today's the first day.
Yeah, as we're recording, it's the first day. Yeah, my wife is Jewish. She was looking for the candles. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So we're going through it as well and getting ready for it. So it's a fun time of year. I can imagine the excitement with that, though, of the sense of you had all of this work, you get to retire, and like it is such a big world, and there are so many ways to connect that it is almost overwhelming of like, where do you even begin? Because I feel from that networking side of like, there's so many different groups out there and things, and it's like, which ones to join, and I'll try stuff and leave and whatever. But there's just so many ways to engage, and it's such a freeing and exciting thing, though, to be able to have that freedom and get to choose.
Exactly, Vince. Exactly. I went to a training last week for an elementary school library. This group in my neighborhood started a library. And so they have kids coming and doing reading hour and taking out their books. And what is this? This is the Dewey Decimal System. Who even knew the Dewey Decimal System had specific categories of where the books are? And I'm already thinking, oh, this is going to intimidate me. You know, I don't know anything about kids. I don't know anything about children. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. That might be one thing I try and decide no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Really, my love and my passions are in the arts and theater.
Yeah.
So I would love to find something where I can really be involved in the arts with the artists and meeting some of the artists.
Yeah. Okay. Well, definitely something to look out for. And if you are listening, you are a member, you have a connection to the arts and volunteering, whatever it might be, that's what it's about. Reach out to Frann. Say hi. Like, let's make these connections happen. That's what this is all about. So, Frann, if people do want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Probably by my email, which is Frann, Frann Shore, Shore @gmail.com.
There we go. So we will put that in the show notes. Make sure you reach out to Frann. And Frann, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Vince.